Lost Girl Therapy. Let's talk about what it means to have ADHD when you are trying to find motivation. So, I was diagnosed with ADHD inattentive type, which is kind of like the daydreamer side of ADHD, when I was 30. And to be perfectly honest, it came as a shock. I knew that I had problems with attention, I just didn't realize how many of the characteristics of the inattentive type I fulfilled. So, I really struggle with following directions in tasks. I often will look at the whole picture and then I will narrow it down to very specific things. I struggle to do research papers. I will write the entire paper and then I will go back and I will add the research in. And I honestly just thought that's how my brain worked and that it was the norm. Now, as I've gotten older and I've learned more about ADHD, I realize there are certain things that my brain just does not easily connect to. And one of those things is really self-directed tasks and having sustained motivation when it comes to completing self-directed tasks. So over the course of the last few months, I've been really focused on, increasing my social media presence, and I've done Business of Therapy, Kelly's PPA bundle. And the bundle is great. Would recommend for any therapist who is looking to build their business and grow their online following. But I realized for me, one of the hardest things that I experience is finding the continued motivation to stay on a task that feels too big because of the components. And this is something that I did not realize was so pervasive across a lot of the things that I do. So when I have larger things that I need to accomplish, whether that is sitting down for a multi-part email, whether that is trying to file paperwork for licensure or things that require bits and pieces, I really struggle with how quickly I want to complete the task, how quickly my mind wants to complete it, and then how quickly it can actually be completed. So with a multi-part thing, I want to do everything and I just want to do it efficiently. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm internalizing the knowledge that I'm being provided with or the information that I'm being provided with on a really deep level. So if you're somebody who, like me, has ADHD and attentive type, if you struggle with multi-part things that then challenge your internal motivation, one of the tools that I like to use is mapping out my week with what I would consider to be study times or learning times. So blocking off an hour on my calendar once a day to say, this is a time that is dedicated to X task. And I do not leave it broad. I literally will put on my calendar, for this 1 hour, you will do this task. And it's been incredibly helpful in helping my brain kind of understand okay, there's a plan in place. The other part that I find helpful is to then have that task repeated weekly at the same time and on the same day. So what that could look like is on Mondays at 11 o'clock, I sit down and I do 1 hour of the PPA bundle. On Tuesdays, I sit down at 12 o'clock and I do 1 hour of book editing, and so on and so forth. It took me a while to integrate that practice, but it also was something that became really pivotal in how I plan my day and how my brain begins to trust that I have everything under control. Because very often I find with ADHD, my brain doesn't really trust that I've got it covered because it moves so fast. So that's where I get into that space at 11:30 at night when I'm falling asleep, that I wake up and I say, how did you not finish this? Or what are you thinking of next? Or why isn't this resolved? Having spaces provided and built into my day that allow me to say, this is the task that you're doing, this is how much time you've dedicated for it, can be incredibly helpful in alleviating the anxiety and also providing a sense of fulfillment that I am capable of completing tasks, even if my brain wants to go faster than the actual task allows me to do. So I hope this is helpful. If you're somebody who grapples with ADHD and attentive, maybe this can be a trick that you add to the toolbox.